Alright, hope everybody's having a good one. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with Cookie Pirate. Today, we're flying the CubCrafters XCub going from Soldotna, Alaska to Seldovia. It's looking like it's going to be about a 35-minute flight, 73 miles en route. We're going at 4,500 feet. Climb aboard and let's go flying. Ready to fly. Alright, so remember in 2024 we do a pre-flight of the airplane. You could technically skip this, but it's kind of cool to do just for realism. So what we're gonna do... Oh, come on, there we go. Alright, we're gonna check the elevator. Rudder. Tail wheel. Rear strut, those are all good. Come over here, check the flaps. Elevator. Or, I'm sorry, aileron. And the flap there. Take that cover off. We'll pull the wheel chocks. Rhett, welcome, how are you? I'm doing okay, thanks. Hope you are as well. Oh, pretty good. Stand up and take these engine covers off. Alright, there we go. All of those components of the plane are checked. We're good to go ahead and get in. Hey, Bralmick, welcome. No, this is 24 again. Same plane, same places that we fly in 20. We've done this route before, but I want to check it out in 24, see how it looks. Kind of a good comparison. Alright, we're back in the aircraft cockpit now, and the startup procedure is going to be all pretty much the same as in 20. The same aircraft, they simulate a couple different things. Circuit breakers can actually pop out. But what we're going to do is turn the master switch on, and we'll turn the avionics on to initialize. Now, there was something in the old sim that when you turn the master switch on, the avionics would automatically come on. It's not technically supposed to happen. So we've got this set up right here. Gonna go ahead and set this to cruise at 4,500. Set the heading here in a bit. Airspeed will set down to 70 knots. We'll turn nav on. Alright, the next thing we're going to do to get the engine started here is we will turn the fuel pump on. We're going to go mixture full, Rich. Watch the fuel flow peak. And that is good. We're going to shut it off. We'll turn the magnetos on and the alternator field switch. Let's go ahead and check left, right, and... oh, hello. And yeah. Clear! Alright, engine is started. And our oil pressure is good. Temperature's a little low. It's rising though, so once it gets into the green, it'll be good. We're gonna bump the power up to 1,000 RPM. Avionics have initialized. Come up a little bit more on that power there. Generally in this plane, you want the engine to run at about 1,000 RPMs. That'll also help warm the oil up a little bit. Let's come up just a touch more on the power there. Alright, the weather at Soldotna is actually minimum VFR. 260 at 6, so we're going to take a westbound departure, which is actually going to work out well for us to get on course. 10 miles visibility. Clouds. Sky Vector says scattered, the sim actually says broken, so there's not a real big difference. Other than the difference is what they're called a cloud ceiling, which is the lowest level of broken or overcast clouds. What that means, overcast is obviously complete coverage. Broken means the sky is more than halfway covered by clouds, but not fully. Alright. So what we're going to do is actually pull our little tablet up here. And we're going to go into... Come on. Where are our charts? Let me go up here. Is this a plane you can't fly into a cloud? Yeah, you're correct. You're not supposed to. There's no charts. What I need is the airport chart for Soldotna. Are you kidding me? There's not a airport diagram here. Okay. It's not a real difficult, Uh-oh. Hold on, what just happened? The engine shut down. Oil pressure low. That's not supposed to have happened. The throttle's on... Oh, you know what? It's because we forgot to set the fuel selector. That starts off in this plane. Alright. In the other one, it starts automatically set to left. So what we're going to do is leave these on. We're going to turn that off, and we're going to cut the mixture. Real quick, all we'll do is fuel pump is going to come back on. Flow peaks, shut it off. Ignition switches back on. Alternator back on. This should be set to left. I forgot that that defaults off in this version of the sim. In the other one, it defaults to the left. So interesting there's no taxi chart, but fortunately this is an easy enough airport to get around. Gremlins, yeah. Alright, let's try it one more time here. Left is good, right is good, ahead. Oh, come on. Back to the back seat. Clear. Alright, now it's running. We're good. We've got fuel flow. It's interesting it ran as long as it did. You would have thought it would not have run for more than a couple seconds here. Strobe lights, nav lights. We'll leave the landing light off until we taxi out. Fuel pump stays off. Alternator's on. That is full forward. Okay. So what we're going to go ahead and do is just pull this back up and go to the map. Real quick view outside. Look at all the airplane traffic. So this airport actually has 270 parking spaces available. It is wild. Ton of places to go. There's a good amount of vehicle traffic, but it's definitely less chaotic than in the 2020 version. And I think the vehicles are actually pretty well behaved in this version sometimes, so unfortunately I don't think we're going to have to shout to anybody to get off the runway. Right. Here we taxi down. Why is that going to the left like that? It shouldn't be. Let's go ahead and turn up ahead. I always feel like I need to go out of the cockpit so you can see better in this plane. So we want to go actually to the opposite end. So we're just going to taxi up ahead. Is it the wind doing that, or why does this plane keep shifting to the left like that? Let me just check something real quick. Let me make sure my controllers are set up correctly. They are... Let me check assistance. Auto rudder is on, so I'm not sure why it's leading to the left so much. Interesting. Alright, anyway, let's go ahead and keep going here. This is really awkward. I'm gonna stop the airplane real quick and just make sure the power's completely idle. And let me just re-plug in the stick real quick. Because now it's going straight. And if we power up... Yeah, it's fine now. I just wonder if maybe the dead zone was reset or something. For some reason. Or the... not even the dead zone, but the neutral zone, I should say. Alright, we're gonna come up ahead here. And we are going to turn left and go down to the end of the runway. It's going to be a relatively short flight. Looks like I think it said 35 or 36 minutes. And we'll get this flight going and then we'll take a short break and get into Planet Coaster. I said I would be playing that tonight. I'm getting a little bit of a later start than I wanted to. I think we can go back in the cockpit now. This plane, the nose sits up even higher than in the regular XCub, and that's because of these giant bush wheels that we have. You have the option to run without them, but I think it's kind of cool. The cool thing about this, though, is we do have the synthetic vision, so we can actually see the taxiways and stuff ahead of us. Alright, coming up to the end here. So we're going to go ahead and make the turn. Break. And while we're outside looking, we're going to check the flight controls. Rudder's good. Elevator is good. Ailerons are good. We're going to go ahead and set the flaps down to 1 for takeoff. Back into the cockpit here. And let's real quick go ahead and do a run up. So what we're going to do is bring the power up. We're looking for about 2,000 RPMs. Come back off those a little bit. Can you all hear me? I think the stream may have stuttered for a minute. Alright, let's check the mags real quick. It stuttered, but it's good now. Hopefully not more than like 5 seconds or so. Showing it actually looks like it kind of reset, but it never gave me an indicator that it dropped, which is kind of weird. That's a good drop on that mag there. Let's check the other one. That's good. Now... Hold on, what's going on with this right now? Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to cycle the prop control, so we're going to pull back, and in this plane it should drop significantly. That's also a fix from the regular flight sim. Just all the way down to under 1,000, and then you put full prop back in. That also helps the oil cycle through the prop to adjust the pitch of the blades. One more time. And that is functioning correctly, so we're going to go ahead and put the power back, or the prop back full forward. It's really nice, you can actually see the trees starting to change color. You don't get that in the old sim. But we're good for takeoff, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is release the parking brake, pull back on the power, idles. That's good. Bump it back up here. Let's roll out onto runway 25. And we're lined up. We're gonna go full power. Very gently. Engine instruments all looking good so far. Airspeed has come alive. We're gonna lift off at 51. There it is. Already up. Hit the brakes. And a positive rate of climb. Let's go ahead and bring the flaps up. We're 100 feet or 200 feet above the ground, so we're good to do that. What a beautiful view over here. Soldotna is really pretty. That's the city of Soldotna right there. And that's the Kenai River that runs over toward Kenai and into the Cook Inlet there. Beautiful view of the airport there. We're going to lower the nose to about 70 knots, so we're right on that. We're 1,000 feet above the ground. We can go ahead and engage the autopilot this time. And it's right away going to turn us on course. How about a quick view outside? Beautiful. This is the city of Soldotna over here. If you were to look out that way, Kenai is right over there. This is all the Cook Inlet, and you can see, it's a bit cloudy, but you can kind of see one of these mountains over here in the distance. It's actually one of the volcanoes. Really pretty view of the trees starting to change color up here. Beautiful view of the airport. Lots of stuff out there. The city of Sterling is out that direction there. It does get a bit more cloudy up toward Anchorage, and then the further south we go, the weather actually gets better. Alright, back into the cockpit, and it's turning us on course already. What we're going to go ahead and do, because this is in the red, you don't want to let that run more than about 2 minutes. So we're going to pull back just until we get about 2650 on those RPMs. Right about there. I would love to visit Alaska in real life. Yeah, me too. Oh, and you know what? We're actually starting to go through some of these clouds a little bit. We have the required 3 miles of visibility, so we're actually good. And these are kind of wispy thin. Oh, you know what? It looks like it's actually starting to thicken up a little bit over there. We've got the 3 miles on the ground. But as we're going up, we're getting kind of closer to those limits. So what we may need to do is find a little bit of a clearing and climb. Or we would need to descend and fly this entire route down at 2,500. We're already leveling off. And I am not really liking what I'm seeing. And it looks like we're starting to come out of that little kind of wispy bit. That's a good sign, so it's clearing up. Now we've got really good visibility through here. So it looks like we were just kind of passing through the edge of one of those. You really should not fly this airplane through clouds, but given that we didn't lose the visibility, we're okay. Now in the real world, the requirement in most airspace is that you stay 500 feet below the clouds, or that you climb in a gap and fly 1,000 feet above them. Since we're in the sim, for all practical purposes, as long as we are staying clear of the clouds, which that was borderline. We weren't in the thick of it per se, but it kind of, you started to get a little bit of moisture. But I think we're going to be okay here. That pilot literally scared me. Well, I was like, who is in the plane with us? Yeah, when I did my second flight last night from Dawson to Eagle, and I realized that I have not found a way to see if it's possible to go without a co-pilot. Because I'd like to turn that off, but you know what? It's not a real big deal. It's fine. But yeah, I loaded up on the ground at Dawson and was walking around. I was like, oh wait, who is that in the airplane? It's like he wanted to hitch a aerial Uber or something like that. Alright, what we can go ahead and do now that we're at cruise is, oh, let me check. I think we didn't set the altimeter. It's, oh no, it's 2992 at Soldotna. Interesting. (16 Celsius there, 61 Fahrenheit. It's 4 Celsius up here. And we didn't turn the landing light on. I often forget to do that. Just don't even think about it, really. Alright, so we may end up passing through some more moisture. So tell you what I think we're going to do. This is saying 57 miles and we're doing 121 over the ground. So we've got about 28 minutes remaining in the flight. It's a pretty short flight over to Seldovia. I have selected Homer as an alternate. We did that one time recently where Seldovia all of a sudden clouded over and we had to change to Homer. Right now Seldovia is calling clear skies, 15 Celsius on the ground. Really good weather. Homer's also clear. But up here in Alaska, the weather can change in an instant. This looks pretty thin and wispy, so I think we're actually going to be okay. But if we start seeing some more of these kind of bulk clouds over here, then we'll need to watch out for that. There's no weather reporting between Soldotna and Homer, but Homer is indicating clear, so I think once we get out that direction, we're going to be fine. We're doing 121 over the ground. That's pretty good. We've got about a 4-knot tailwind. 117 is our true airspeed. It is pretty. This is really a gorgeous place in the state to fly, especially when the weather's good, which you don't get terribly often. Yeah, you can see Soldotna, the airport is back here. Kenai is over here. Sterling is up that way. There's a few other towns. This is Castleloaf over here. There's some stray kind of little airstrips. Down below Kenai and Soldotna on the coast, you have a town called Nilnilchik, and then there's a place called Anchor River and Anchor Point just before Homer, kind of like over here. And then we'll fly pretty much over Homer, over the Kachemak Bay into Seldovia at the southern tip of the peninsula. If you were to go past that, there's another town called Nanwalek and Port Graham. And then you're off the peninsula, and then you start flying down toward Kodiak. Weather at Kodiak is looking pretty good, but that's a long flight. It would have, out of Soldotna and Kenai, it would have taken us an hour in the SR-22. In this plane, it would take you well over an hour and a half. I thought about going down to Kodiak in the Vision Jet, but I decided just to stick with a simpler, shorter flight today. I know how to fly this plane more or less by heart, whereas you saw how difficult it was for me with the Vision Jet. Okay, so these clouds are actually thickening a bit, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna descend down to 2,500, stay out of these clouds. So we're gonna turn that on, and we're gonna pull the power back a little bit and let the plane descend us. Pull back on the power down to about 50%. And yeah, this is what I wanted to avoid. Again, we're supposed to really remain clear of the clouds. We have the visibility, but I'm afraid if we go too far into the thick of it that we would lose that, and then that would be an issue. We have the instrumentation technically to fly IFR, but the plane itself is not really certified. In addition to the instrumentation, there are other things that you're required to have on your airplane to be able to fly in IFR conditions. So if an airport is below VFR minimums, or if you're going through the clouds, your plane has to be IFR certified, and you as a pilot have to be instrument rated. So we're just going to descend down to 2,500. We're not going to have to worry about any terrain clearance, I don't think. But we will monitor that. One thing that we can do, I believe, is pull our tablet up. And what we're going to do, I'm going to resize it a little bit, just to make it... I know there's a way. Well, you know what, this is probably okay. And we're already about a third of the way. What I'm going to go in and do, we're going to close out of that there, and we're going to go into the map settings here. And what we're going to do is... Does it not have it? Terrain highlight, maybe? Oh, it doesn't let you turn it on. For some reason. Why are those grayed out? Interesting. So I guess you can do it on here. I'm pretty sure we can do it on the map on the actual... So what we'll do here... What? Is it disabled in this because... Oh no, here it is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So we may have to watch some of this terrain over here. We might have to break off course a little bit. Come back around just south of Halmer. Because as we're descending, we're at 2,500 now, so we can actually put the power back in. Not even really worried about leaning the mixture at this altitude. We are losing a little bit of our speed, given that we're lower. We'll just have to make sure when we go over this that we have the 500 feet of clearance above the terrain, which we should be okay. If we need to, and if it clears up more over that way, we can climb back up. Or what we can do is just fly a little bit outward and around if we have to. But yeah, all of this is just kind of patchy yellow. No red, so we should have the 500 feet that we need. So our route today, I'm going to pull the tablet back up. We've done this a couple times before, or something similar to it, but we take off out of Soldotna, and we're flying pretty much following the coastline of the Kenai Peninsula. Going down, we're a little less than halfway, just a tad bit less. So we're actually making good time. And we're flying over this kind of ridge here. This is Halmer right here. We fly right over the Kachemak Bay, and Seldovia sits kind of right in this inlet here. So it's a pretty straightforward flight. And we're pretty close to the top of the green here. Where this turns yellow, this is what is called, there's a specific term for the yellow. Range of caution, maybe? And that speed right here, where the green meets the yellow, is called VNO, which is the speed that's called normal operating. Above that in the yellow, you have to have completely smooth air, or you risk structural damage to the plane, because you hit any turbulence, it can exceed the gravitation. The gravitational limits, the g-forces that the plane is built to withstand. Where the yellow meets the red, we would never get that fast unless we were putting the plane kind of in a dive. And there are very, very limited circumstances that you would ever want to do something like that. Up here is called VNE. You never should fly the plane above that speed. And I mean never. Above that, it can get extremely dangerous. Not great about respecting G-forces, as you know from PC2. Well, in the case of the coasters, it's just going to make people really uncomfortable. In the case of an airplane, it can actually, in a lot of cases, what it would do is cause structural damage. So you could actually bend a wing or a wing strut or some other component. In the most extreme cases, it could actually cause the aircraft to break apart in flight. So that is why you never want to go above that speed. Speeds are extremely important, and there are various speeds that are designated so that you know how fast you should fly in certain circumstances, how slow you should fly in circumstances. Minimums and maximums are really important. Alright, so I do want to pay attention over here. We're about halfway at this point. I just want to make sure that we have 1,000, or I'm sorry, not 1,000, 500 feet above this terrain. And I think we're going to be okay there. I watched a video yesterday about the design of the Concorde and how it worked. It was very interesting. It's, yeah, the Concorde was a very fascinating plane. I think they have payware versions of the Concorde that you can fly in Flight Sim. I haven't done it, but I actually have a friend that has. He says it is extremely challenging, but it's really cool. Look at that right here. This is really well represented. You don't see detail like this in 20 version. But you've got the little creek right there in the forest. You can see again some of the trees are changing color at the beginning of fall. Really pretty. And then out that way, now that it's clearing up more, take a look at some of the mountains. Let's go out of the cockpit and look at that. I believe this right here is the Iliamna volcano. I could be wrong on that. I think this is Mount Redoubt. Could have those mixed up. Mount Redoubt actually might be further north. You can't really see it because of the clouds. Take a look at these giant tires on this aircraft. You can choose the CubCrafters with floats, with skis, with regular tires, or with these giant bush tires. These allow you to land off airport. So let's say we wanted to fly to some little creek bed somewhere, land along the side of the river, or if we wanted to go like in an open field somewhere, this is the perfect plane to do that with, especially with these giant tires. The real world CubCrafters, I've seen some tires that are almost 4 feet to about 1.3 meters in diameter. They're massive. But they're so heavy that it really limits your ability to carry extra cargo and stuff like that. So you kind of have to be careful with that. Alright, looking up ahead, now we're starting to come up in a little bit of the higher terrain. We can actually see the southern end of the Kenai Peninsula down here. Seldovia, where we're flying to, I believe is going to be this little marker over that direction there. It does look like it clears out a little bit, but I don't want to fly back up into any of these clouds. I think we're content to stay where we are. We're just going to watch our terrain clearances here. We're at 2,500, and I'm going to check that against the map on SkyVector. And it says the highest terrain that we are going to get is looking like it's going to be about 1,800 feet. So we should be fine without having to maneuver at all. So any of this terrain here, we're going to be more than 500 feet above, so we are going to be well safe there. If you take a look out back this way, it's a little tough to see, but there's this peak over here that's actually higher than the airplane. It's about 2,900 feet. 2,880 is what the chart says. And we can see we're getting just a little bit of light turbulence, just a little bit of chop. We're doing fine on our speed. It's nothing to worry about. We'll just make sure that it doesn't get more significant. If it gets to moderate, we're going to slow this down to 97. But where we're at right now is totally fine. We're still below the yellow, so we're in good shape. About a quick look outside, this is really pretty. Yeah, you can see some of the color changing over there. That is really pretty. And we're right over here, we're between probably 700 and 800 feet above the ground. So we're well within limits. And yeah, you can see Halmer coming up over here. Seldovia is going to be right back this white bar over here. I would like to turn that off. I don't remember the exact setting to do that. But, yeah, for right now it's fine. They're on by default. I haven't... I think... Oh, there we go! Yeah, there's a keybind to do that. It's the same as when you turn the stuff on in pre-flight mode, when you're outside of the plane looking at everything. I know where we're going anyway. I've done this route several times. There's some snow-capped mountains out that direction. There's a giant ice field on the southern end of the peninsula. Over here, all of this red. These are high ice fields. We're talking 5,000 to 6,000 feet up. Oh, we just passed into the yellow there. We're going to back off on the power. Just a little bit. Try to keep the speed about 115. So we'll reduce that there. It's about 70%. 23 miles. 122 over the ground. It looks like 12 minutes remaining in the flight. And we'll be, it'll probably be a little bit more once we get the aircraft slowed down in on approach. So I'm saying probably 14 to 15 minutes we'll be on the ground. Pretty short flight. Hey Shem, welcome. Lovely this peninsula though. Oh, the Kenai Peninsula is full of just beauty. This isn't quite bush flying. I'd actually thought of trying to do something up in the interior, but the weather in most of it today is not great. In fact, it is pretty overcast and low clouds at most airports in the interior today. Eagle, where I flew last night, is actually hazed over. It's actually foggy. The visibility is below a quarter mile. There's no way we're getting this plane into there. I don't think you're actually getting any planes into there, based on the approach that they have. Only place that I'm seeing with decent weather in the interior. Arctic Village is okay, and Aktivik Pass is actually pretty nice today. And that's super far north. Chandeleur Lake, another really beautiful airport, doesn't have reporting weather. But when we get a day with some decent weather, or we get something like the Corvallis or the SR-22, we could maybe do a flight up there. Those are all within the Brooks Range, which is far north above the Arctic Circle. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite places to fly in the state. Kenai Peninsula Borough, yep. Yeah, this is another really pretty area. All of Alaska is pretty, but there are some places that I think are even prettier than others. This is one of them, and the Brooks Range is high up on my list as well. Starting to get just a little bit bumpy over here. But we are, if we take a look at our map here, we're about 3/4 of the way. And it sounds beautiful. It is incredibly beautiful. A couple of my favorite flights that I've done are up in that part of the state. There's one in particular that I did in October or November last year, and it was an Aktuvic pass to Fort Yukon. Absolutely gorgeous flight. The sun was setting over the range, which was just spectacular. And then it actually was dark by the time we landed in Fort Yukon. And it was chilly too. It was about -15 up there, Celsius, which is about 5 degrees Fahrenheit above. I really want to do some fall and winter flights up there, especially once it starts getting darker earlier, because in this sim, we actually have a really good possibility to view the northern lights once it gets dark. That far north, daylight at Fort Yukon, it sits right on the Arctic Circle, so the sun actually does come up. It just stays on the horizon for about an hour and a half or two, and then it sets. Up in an Aktuvic pass, it's far enough north that you actually go about a month without sunlight. Now, that said, a lot of people don't realize that most of Alaska, even above the Arctic Circle, doesn't stay dark. Because even if the sun doesn't rise, you still get, you know, a good 5 to 6 hours of twilight. Those times. Well, this is absolutely beautiful. This looks way better over here in this sim. This is gorgeous, and it's really funny too, because this is actually running better than 20 does on my computer. This is really well optimized, and I've got good hardware, so this is running like a charm. I'm really happy with that. Just look at the detail on all of this here. This is absolutely beautiful. It's getting a little bit bumpy. I'm not running my settings maxed out on this. They're on high but not ultra. Of course, in 2020 I can run them on ultra, but it actually isn't as well optimized, so it's a little bit more taxing on my computer. If I really wanted to crank it up, I probably could do that, and I would experiment with that probably off stream just to see if it's stable and everything. This right here is the Homer Airport, and this is the city of Homer, which is a pretty good sized community, along with Kenai and Soldotna. Homer and then Seward, where we've been a couple times, which would be way back over here, are the largest communities on the Kenai Peninsula. Look at the beach. I mean, I'm sure it's probably pretty rocky and stuff like that, but it looks really neat. These actually are kind of like cliffs that drop off right over here. That is pretty. This is a jetty over here that you get like cargo ships and cruise ships and stuff like that. That's really, really pretty. We've got a little ways to go over the water. Let's go into the cockpit and just take a look at some stuff. Let's go ahead and get the weather set for, why is the altimeter is automatically set? Let's grab the weather at this one happens when you fly from one airport to another that have very similar names. Soldotna. Seldovia, I meant to say. Alright, the weather right now there is saying wind calm. That is good news. 10 miles visibility, clear skies, 16 on the ground, that's 61 Fahrenheit. And we will need to set this 2994. I'm gonna look for a good opportunity to do a flight in the interior around the Yukon Flats and the Brooks Range, because it's so spectacular. Alright, we're not going to be going over any high terrain over here, except when we get set up to descend into Seldovia. out over the water. If we take a look back, right out there, it's a good view of Palmer. And then the terrain out over here is Anchor Point, and you can actually see some of these mountains off in the distance a little bit here. I think that's Mount Redoubt. That's the Iliamna volcano, if I remember right. Oh, it looks like it kind of loaded up. And a couple others out there. I'm not really sure what that is. But if you look way in the distance, that's another volcano. It's very faint to see, but you can kind of see the crest of it. Kind of right up over there. You can't really see right now. Looks like it's starting to get just a tiny bit hazy. But beyond that, you would eventually reach Kodiak. We'll do a flight into Kodiak sometime. Flying in there is a spectacular view. Flying out's really fun, at least in the old sim, because the vehicles are always bad behaved, and you have to yell at them to get off the runway. Sounds like Finland for that time period. I was lucky enough to spend time in southern Finland and got to experience the midnight sun. So, was the sun up 24 hours, or did it just set really late, like after midnight? Okay. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna maneuver off track here. Because I want to fly out and get lined up with the runway. So we're gonna turn that off. And we're gonna go into our flight. Come on. Tell you what, let's zoom out a little bit, we can see. And we're gonna go into this. And I'm gonna see if we can set a approach, and we're just going to set this VFR pattern, straight approach, and change procedure. And I think we're actually a little bit, oh no, we're doing okay, so we're on the right heading here. Alright, it is time now. Disconnect the autopilot, and we are going to lower the power. Mixture stays full rich because we were at a low enough altitude. We really didn't need to lean it. We're going to get slowed down below 95. We can do the first set of flaps. We're actually really high. We might have to circle. Alright, slow enough. Let's go flaps 1. Other thing we can do is something interesting, which is where we grab the rudder and dip the wing like this, and this is called a slip. What that does is it helps you drop altitude quickly without gaining too much speed. So we're actually turned to, we're going to take that rudder back out. We're going to get aligned with the runway here. Pull the power back a little bit. We don't want to set the second round of flaps until we're about 85. Let's go ahead and level off just a little bit. Second set of flaps there. Now we can nose down a little bit more, and we'll drop the third set of flaps when we're closer in on final. What a beautiful view of Seldovia. Really pretty town. Gorgeous scenery with the mountains and the water. You can add a touch of power in here. We want to stay pointed down. Final things we need to do, mixture is full. We're going to pull the carb heat. We're also going to turn the landing light on and just check a couple other final things. Prop control can be left where it is. We really don't want to go above 90 knots with flaps at 2. So we're going to pull back on the power a little bit more. We can't set the third set of flaps until we're down to 75 again. We're there, so we can actually... Oh, there we go. We're going to add a little power in. Whoa! The interesting thing over here, though, we do have this little bit of terrain that rises right before the water, so we do have to make sure that we're careful of that. We're going to keep our power right here. flying a nice 55 knots. We're actually set up really well. It's about the speed that you want to come in and land at. But this plane can fly all the way down to 40 with full flaps. It can actually fly lower than that. Slower than that, I should say. But per se, you're not really supposed to go below 40. Ooh, those trees. Those trees are tall. Now we're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and flare. Take the power out. Nice. And, ooh, that was a little bit hard on the landing there. Hit the brakes. We are looking good. We bounced a little bit. Not the thing you want to hear the pilot say as you're landing, right? Alright, gently. We can actually turn off here. That was not a bad landing. Bring the flaps full up. We can turn the landing light off. Let's go out of the cockpit and just look around a little bit. Not the thing you want to hear the pilot say as you're landing, yeah. Well, coming in, we were on the right approach path, and I'm like, well, those trees look pretty tall. Wasn't quite butter, more like margarine. Oh! Yeah, we came in, we bounced a little bit. These wheels are bigger, and I haven't quite figured out the ideal kind of flare position to touch down on these bigger wheels. So we bounced just a little bit. Oh, they're telling us to inch up just a little bit more here. There's the cross. Alright, we can stop. Back into the cockpit. Parking brake is set. Let's go ahead and shut the plane down. It wasn't a perfect landing, but it really wasn't that bad. Especially with these giant wheels. It's more common, too, that your plane can bounce a little bit. These have really good shock absorbers, so it's really good suspension. You don't have to worry about that with smaller wheels, your standard size. Those will stay on. What we're gonna go... Oh, excuse me. What we're gonna go ahead and do first, we're gonna cut the avionics master off. All of these can stay on for now. We're going to go ahead and pull the mixture to idle. Engine is stopped. We can turn the alternator and the magneto switches off. Check everything else. That can go back full forward. We didn't even need to switch the fuel tanks. But we're looking good. Alright, plane is shut down. Let's set that to off. And I think we can go ahead and turn the master battery switch off and get out of the airplane. There we are. Hello. 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 Hey, you over there. This is a really cool aspect of this version of the sim. You can't do this in 20. Get out of the airplane. We're parked. Well, you walk out this way. Absolutely beautiful view of Seldovia. The mountains behind it. The town is over here. And you get a good bit of water out over there. So, really pretty airport. This is one of my favorite places to fly into. Alright, well that's going to do it for this flight. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Welcome to Seldovia, Alaska. In the beautiful CubCrafters XCub with the bush tires. So yeah, thanks for flying. I'm going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes. We'll do some Planet Coaster 2. Hope to catch you all then. And we'll see you in a bit.